Anyway.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we go, it's all the boys banging on the noise. Everywhere we go, everywhere we go, everywhere we go, it's all the boys banging on the noise. Everywhere we go, everywhere we go.
Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's the Twitter time, Twitter Reacts time, everybody. Certainly going to be, I would say, a mixed bag one is what you could say. There might be some people who could be looking at this game as really not so bad, perhaps not as much of a dumpster fire as maybe other people might make it out to be in the Twitter sphere. But that's what I kind of enjoy about Twitter, Dave. I even was kind of speaking to you earlier that often, while it may look like a very intimidating place, and I must say, even especially with all the recent stuff that's even gone on with the head of Twitter, it's a very interesting place. So I actually get a good kind of sickly kind of kick out of it. It's kind of a nasty place to be, Dave, but I weirdly enjoy it. If you keep your head down, I enjoy it. But we still have the community section as well, as we always like to say, for people who want to avoid that dumpster fire of a of a place to keep your Spurs opinion. And I think as well, I think we got plenty of comments actually this time compared to last time for the community section. But I think also as well for people who might not know how to do that and maybe would rather do it that way, we'll show you how to do it once we get to that section as well. But enough of kind of the business end of the show, Dave. How you keeping? And AC Milan is what we've drawn today.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. Look, Chelsea turned them over 5-0 over 2 legs, 3-0 and 2-0. For me, look, I think it's a favourable draw. I think them, Club Brugge, maybe Dortmund, we were probably looking at that maybe I fancy us beating and getting to the quarterfinals. So for me, I'm happy. It was a perfect little pick-me-up on a Monday morning after a big loss yesterday. And I don't think we should go into this AC Milan game scared, to be honest with you. I think we're better than them, and I think we can definitely do them. Excited to see what my guy Sandro Tonali can do, though, Jack. I like him. I'll get to see him over 2 legs.
Yeah, they were weirdly one of my higher picks. I think I even probably consider them maybe my second pick, probably behind like a Club Brugge or somebody like that. Mostly because I feel like I don't want to come up against any sort of team that will press that back line intensely, especially if, let's say, we don't get the real quality backups in that back line for, players that, can handle, let's say, a press. And we all know, Dave, the German teams relentlessly will do that to you. And it is almost to a fault of theirs that they'll do it to you because they expose themselves to being kind of, exposed on the counterattack or exposed just with, a ball over the top. I think that's why even today, RB Leipzig via Twitter, actually, funny enough, RB Leipzig did a few GIFs that they sent over to Man City of basically just them already giving up, on the tie in general, because I think they know what the way they the way they play is probably just going to get destroyed by a team like Man City. But I think a team like RB Leipzig would have caused us actually in turn a lot of problems, and maybe a Dortmund as well. I guess we wouldn't. Dortmund definitely could have come up against as well. So certainly a tough one. And I feel like I'm actually happy with AC Milan at the end of the day. I enjoy, though, a lot of their players. I think they definitely actually have, in certain areas, certainly a much better 11, I would say, than us. I think Theo Hernandez is probably one of the best left backs in the world, easily. I think probably maybe just behind Alphonso Davies. I think he is actually probably the best left back in the world, at least in my opinion. You look at it, like you said, Sandro Tonali. A lot of people are big fans of Benacer as well. I think Davide Calabria, not a bad fullback over on the other side as well. Olivier Giroud has been actually playing quite well for them, I think, this season. And they've made Brahim Diaz. I enjoy as well. He scored a pretty epic goal for them, I think, in the Milan derby this season. They have, I think, actually, and of course, as we're probably forgetting, Rafael Leao is an absolute sensation.
Rebic, well. Kettler, they've got some good attacking players.
They just have good, and their squad is definitely much better than ours, is probably what I'd say. Some of the players that they might leave on the bench are pretty amazing players that they could bring on and, have an impact. I think Krunic might be playing for them. He's also having a really good season over there, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm thinking of the right player. But yeah, certainly a team that ultimately is actually, weirdly, just because I think the style of play and the way they have been playing, considering their form as well, one of actually my higher picks. And it's kind of ironic, Dave. I think it's maybe a bit of an oxymoron that I would pick such an esteemed club like AC Milan as maybe one of my higher picks, but it really has to do with the fact that I think they are maybe a type of style of play that might suit us a bit better. And also, they're not exactly in the best of form as they were last season.
Yeah, look, I think Spurs fans will relish a trip out to the San Siro as well. I think they'll really enjoy themselves out there. And we're away first, which I think probably suits us, to be honest. Would you go away, get out of there, maybe try and nick a win, or get out there with a draw, and then take it the leg in front of your own crowd and go at them then, and then try and get the win. But you know what, Jack? I'm at ease with the Champions League this year. I'm happy with the teams we've got in the group stage. Happy with the last 16. Hopefully, it can bring us to the quarters. I told you I'm getting vibes of
2019, Dave. Yeah.
2019. And look, who knows? We get one or two improvements across that back line in January. Don't write us off. One thing about Tottenham, you can never write us off. We've gone out to the San Siro before against AC and Inter and put on decent displays. So there's no reason why we can't go out there again. No need to fear them whatsoever.
I like it, Davo. I like it. And also as well, I mean, you're absolutely right with the home advantage. I mean, I think with the removal of the away goals rule, I think pretty much there's no advantage to being the team with the home leg in the first game. I really think it was actually taken away basically from any of those teams, because the away goals rule was actually quite nice probably to have for the team that had the first sort of home game. And you could, sort of maybe take advantage of, the last leg and get as many away goals as you probably could. And then all of a sudden the home team in the second leg is finding themselves in a bit of a slippery situation. But now that has been taken away, it's really just 2 games of football. And then in case it goes to extra time, the home team in the second leg actually gets an extra 30 minutes that the team in the first leg actually wouldn't have gotten, of course, because the first game doesn't go to extra time. So when you look at it that way, I think there's pretty much blatant advantage for Spurs, I think, with away versus home when it comes into this. But we'll probably be talking about it in some shape or form, maybe throughout the Twitter. But let's get to the comments and see what they have to say. The Harris Army. Tequila 316 is in the house. Big up the Irish and Flat Cap. I stay away from the Twitter normally, but I need my Spurs therapy session. So take it away, lads. Here you go, Tequila. We'll put it right into your veins, my man. Mark is in the house. Afternoon, David Jack. Please, Tottenham, our number 1 priority in January. Has to replace Dyer. I think also Sanchez as well has got to do, Mark. Can we make it a double package? Would anybody even take that as a double package? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the opposite of sweetening the deal. Mark Smith.
An idiot would take it.
Sue Smith is in the house. Still so frustrated about yesterday, but come on, you Spurs. Big up Sue Smith. Always good to see you in here. Wayne Bonner, bring it on, fellas. Let's see who got upset at losing yesterday and who appreciates the fact that we turned up. Well, except Hugo and Dyer. Yeah, and the kind of usual suspects probably this season when it comes to exactly that, maybe not turning up and not having their heads screwed on the right way, Wayne. And they've just been a bit just shaky just this whole season, let's be honest. But I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing the Twitter sphere. And Wayne, feel free to leave a comment in the community section if you ever feel up for it, my man. If you ever feel up for it. Big up, Dermot. If you're Dyer and you know it, clap your hands. If you're tired and you know it, clap your hands. Absolutely.
He's not well. He does come up with some corkers at times. Big up, Dermot John.
Joff is in the house. Good evening, guys. Hope all is well. Watching at a decent time, too. It's 11:08 p.m. here. Hope that's if that's better for you, Joff, that's glad to hear it. I'm happy that you have maybe a much better time. We'll maybe stick to it. I think we usually do when it comes to these sort of slots for the Twitter. Usually we stick to the 3 p.m. Peter M is in the house. Good to see you suit up. Dyer out. He isn't even good to be benched. It's funny how much now everybody has turned on moon boots. It's absolutely hilarious. It just turns over in a night, Dave. Just can happen in a night. Snap of a finger. Phil here. Afternoon, David Jack. Very happy about the draw. I'm hoping for another moment like Joe Jordan and Gattuso when we play them. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. What's Phil alluding to here, Dave? I'm a bit of a youngin'.
Yeah, when Harry Redknapp was in charge, I think it was actually at the San Siro, Gattuso and Joe Jordan, who was Harry's assistant, ended up getting into it and going head to head. It was absolutely brilliant. So it was great to see. Joe Jordan rattled him, absolutely rattled, because Gattuso walked around this big hard figure, everyone's scared of him, and Joe Jordan just stood up to him, didn't give a shit. I'd love to see more of it. Look, we have that capability. I mean, we've seen Conte running over, I think it was Liverpool assistant, slapping the ball out of his hand. Stellini's a fiery character. We have that ability to do it again.
Yeah, Absolutely. I mean, we
I
got
love it.
plenty of soldiers to get ready for the row. Phil, plenty of people ready. Lasega, Makona, thoughts on the booing, Dave? I think
Yeah.
this is really the thoughts for, I think, the Twitter sphere and the community section. But Dave, yeah, what are your thoughts, especially for Lasega, who's always in here?
Yeah, look, I mean, the fans have the right to show their displeasure at the first half, to be honest with you. I mean, you can't expect them to sit there and clap and applaud them off the pitch, go losing every single time going in at half time. You can't expect it. So, fans, they pay big money to support this club, whether it's buying merchandise, TV revenue, buying the TV channels to support and go buying season tickets, getting over to as many matches as you can. Doesn't matter. Fans have a right to air their frustrations. But what I would say, boo Dyer. Boo him. It's not Antonio Conte and the rest of the place making the mistakes. Boo Eric Dyer and make sure he knows it's Eric Dyer. Instead of sitting there singing, Eric Dyer, I love you, Eric Dyer loves me. I mean, I don't want him to love me in the first place because I don't love him, so it's not reciprocated. But boo him. Make sure he knows it's not acceptable at a club like Tottenham. Yeah, look, fans pay their money. I mean, you can't really give out about it. They're entitled to make their voices heard.
Yeah, and it's also it's not fun to watch. Simply isn't.
It's not like they're doing it when we're sitting there 3-0 up at halftime, just going boo. You know what I mean? It's because it's so shit.
It is also, like, to be honest, it's a reactionary sort of impulse, right? It is like an impulse sort of thing to kind of do. I don't think it's, booing isn't always something that's like planned or choreographed. I think by anybody, it sort of is. It sort of is. Yeah, when it's Kurtzuma, right, Dave? But I think you know what I mean. It is sort of like an impulse just by fans, at times. It's just a kind of an expression of feeling in kind of, the simplest of ways. And it is, I think, Conte's thoughts at the same time, though, Lasego, I also sort of express kind of what he's feeling, where he feels like he can't really do much about what he's being dealt with. He has to continue to play Moonhead. He has to continue to play these players and try to get the best out of the team. And it feels like he's probably thinking he's getting blamed for those sort of kind of decisions. And I could understand where he's coming from as well. I think it's kind of a bit of a, you're kind of shaking hands on both sides, kind of understanding where both sides are coming from.
And the thing is, the squad don't respond to niceties. They just don't. I mean, Conte's told Eric Dyer he could be one of the best centre-backs in world football. And then he goes and does that yesterday. I mean, the squad only responds when the fans turn on them. That's it. So, if that's what fans have to do to get a performance out of them, and they don't like it, well, then just put in the performance in the first half, problem solved. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. Dark Sun G in the house. Good to see you, Dark Sun G. Origi went to Milan, that former Liverpool forward. I'm actually still waiting for the apologies on the Origi. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been doing too well for them since he's gone there. It hasn't really made much of an impact. And I remember I put on Twitter as well, Dark Sun G, I said, why is it that I'm learning about Origi's move to Milan every single day? I'm getting updates on, what he's packing in his suitcase, what books he's bringing with him, where he's staying and everything. I'm like, he's an irrelevant player in my life, really, in the world of football. And I knew he wasn't going to do anything when he went over there as well. And, turns out, probably kind of proven right on that. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. It felt like there were so many other transfers I wish I knew about that actually happened over the summer, but I had to find out every single day that Origi was making his plans, to book his flights, what hotel he was going to stay at, maybe what drinks he was ordering on the airplane. It really was just getting over the top. It felt like, everybody had to, clap to see Origi leave the Premier League. And so, honestly.
What I will say, though, Jack, he's one of them players. He does absolutely nothing. People are sitting there going, what's Origi done this season? And then he pops up with a last-minute winner. He done it time and time again for Liverpool against Everton. Wouldn't see him all season. Comes, plays against Everton, pops up with a goal. He also popped up with one against us in the Champions League final, which really irritated me. I mean, really, really annoyed me. So I'm not going to slag Origi off because he is the type of fucker that pops up and pisses me off. So...
There you are, Dave. Yeah, you never know. He could actually, could bury us. Big up, Frank Glass. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Always good to see you. 2 new players in January, and AC Milan could be a win. I think a lot of people were, happy to take on anybody if the January window goes okay. Ian Ferguson, big 24 hours for you here, mate. And then you can relax and then just focus on Spurs and Arta, brother. But I would say really appreciate you still tuning in, my man. But big 24 hours for you. Best of luck to you, brother.
By the way, Ian, just quickly, did you watch the MLS final the other day? It was absolutely unbelievable. The scenes. It was just so much. It was really entertaining, actually.
Were you watching it, Dave?
Yeah, LAFC and Philadelphia Union. Very, very good game.
Making me look like a bad Yank, Dave.
Yeah, no, the English centre back, he scored twice. I think he scored twice all season, ended up scoring twice in the MLS final. And then it was, I think they came back twice as well. And Gareth Bale came off the bench. Last minute, ball crossed into the box. Gareth Bale rises like a phoenix through the ashes, gets the header, sends the game to extra time. Extra time was decent, then penalties. The guy that came, the keeper got injured and sent off. And the guy that came on, the replacement, was at Philadelphia Union for about 3-4 years beforehand. And barely played in the MLS and ended up saving like 3 penalties. It was on the scenes, Jack. It was unbelievable.
David, who was that guy that wanted you to head on over to commentate for the MLS games? Because that was absolutely astounding, Dave, some of that research and some of that knowledge that you just pulled out there. I must say, Dave, I mean, you're making me look like a horrible Yankee over here with that. I mean, absolutely crazy. Dave, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Dave. Really was. Well, Dave, there probably was nothing else on TV for me either, and I still ignored it. So impressive. Everybody, get Dave over to, give it an MLS job. Who knows? Future in the MLS for Dave-O. Absolutely crazy research there. Dark Sun G says Sun faces Leao twice, World Cup Portugal and Champions League. Sun has faced Leao twice in the World Cup.
He will be facing him twice, so he'll be playing him with
he will be facing him twice,
Korea against Portugal in the World Cup, and then again in the Champions League last 16.
Sorry, Dark Sunji. I think Leao is certainly one of the next big up-and-coming wingers. The guy is certainly, ridiculous just with how he makes those strides, especially some of the touches he makes just past players. It's almost unfair. It actually then makes you sort of appreciate maybe Sonny a bit more, since he wasn't really blessed with that sort of, athletic ability in kind of the same way. But really, I think 2 glorious players to watch on the left wing. I would say, though, Sonny certainly could teach Leao a thing or two, I would say, about finishing, because I think Leao has scored some spectacular goals from what I've seen, but does maybe enjoy a missed sitter every now and again from what I've seen. Maybe Sonny could teach him a thing or two. Dark Sun J.
He's tricky though, that Leao. He's got pace and he likes to cut in, doesn't he? He's
very tricky because he doesn't just run at full pace all the time, right? He's one of those guys that's it's almost kind of like Kavicha in a similar way, right? He'll slow it down, touch a pass to you with full pace, slow it down again. Very kind of sort of tricky. Yeah, very, very slippery. Dark Sun G as well saying happy with the draws for Man U, Blues, and Liverpool with PSG. Yeah, absolutely delighted with Man United's with Barcelona, because either or, I think I'm happy whichever one gets knocked out there. Really, I'm happy with either one. When it comes to Chelsea, I actually forgot who they drew, Dave. Remind me.
Chelsea got Frankfurt.
No, is that right?
I think so. If I remember correctly. Let me check.
I feel like that's an easy one if you got Frankfurt.
Let me double check there, Jacko.
Let's see who they got. Probably somebody in
Chelsea, yeah. Oh, sorry, Dortmund.
Yeah, they got Dortmund. Yeah, Dortmund. There you go, Dark Sunji. You're absolutely right. I would say really excited about that one, especially the way they've been playing in the Champions League. Edin Terzic as well, good manager in the Champions League for Dortmund in the past, much better than previous managers, I would say, for them in those sort of knockout rounds. Actually had that really great game against the PSG where they won that game, I think, with Haaland, that spectacular goal. So Edin Terzic knows what he's doing in these big games. Perhaps he'll probably make a certain Graham Potter look a bit silly. Liverpool, Real Madrid, they're just getting knocked out. It's just glorious. And then PSG and Bayern, I think just for the neutral, that's just a spectacular game just for the neutral. I really want to see PSG lose really bad. I would be very upset to see Bayern get knocked out, because I think that's one of the few teams that probably could beat PSG. But you never know, right? The fact that it's so early in it, like maybe with PSG not getting any sort of confidence, right away from knocking out an easy team. Both teams are just going, 2 Goliaths, just going at it right away. Dark Center, you never know. Could be interesting.
What I will say is 2 Goliaths going out in the last 16. Potentially, you could see another couple go out in the quarters. If we could just get favourable draws, we could end up sneaking our way into a semi-final before you know it, which would be absolutely unbelievable. I hope that PSG Bayern game is not on the same night we're playing, because I really want to sit back and watch that, if I'm being honest.
It's one of those that it probably will be at the same time, let's be honest, but be a good one to watch back for sure. Big up Darks and G. And it's nice to see the Goliaths maybe knock each other out. Gives us more evidence for the 2019 vibes, Darks and G. Really appreciate it. Just going to say hello to some people. I've kind of, not wasted time. I've had a really good time with you all, just chatting away here. But I think I've been too much of a blabbermouth. So I am just going to kind of just say hello to you all. Then we're going to get straight into the Twitter, to the community section, and we'll get on out of here. Big up G&D. Good to see you in here. Sammy Spur, always good to see you, my man. Cock-a-doo-to-do as well. Good to see you. Elias is in the house. Stephen Cartwright, always good to see you. Mia W, absolute legend. Hopefully you can come on to the fan show later, Mia. Sue Smith is in the house. If I didn't say hello to you, Sue Smith, good to see you. We also have Mark, Derek Hutchinson, and then as well, Darks and G, of course, and Christian Mahai. Pick up Christian Mahai, pick up Justin. And just making sure, we're always very kind. Yeah, I don't think I missed anybody. Very, very nice of me. All right, everybody, let's get straight into it. Bring up the Twitter. This is what David had to say. Please smash that like button while you're in here. Keep getting your comments in. Dave and I will try to bring them up as best we can, but we also are going to pay special attention to the people who did take their time and put their comments up on the Twitter or in the community section as well. If you do want to skip the queue and you do want to have your say, feel free to throw in a super chat. It's also a great way to support the channel. Dark Sun G here saying this is like Blues and City Cup game this week.
City are playing Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, which means one of the big dogs will be going out early, which again suits us. So if we can beat Forest, stay in the cup, who knows where it can take us.
I think also Villa are playing Man United, right?
Yeah.
Dark Sun G. That's kind of, either. I think you probably want to see Villa win that one, but I think either or, good teams that you just get to see kind of knocked out pretty simply. And it's certainly good ties maybe that have helped us out so far. Yaya Toure, Dark Sun G, the blessing of Yaya Toure since he's been at the club. Maybe he's just having a sneaky hand in all the drawings for Spurs so far. He's tried his best.
I do want Chelsea to beat City, though. I do, because I'm sick of City winning it. So I want Chelsea to knock out City, and then hopefully someone knocks out Chelsea then in the next round. Big up, Dark Sun G.
Maybe they both qualified. With his Twitter response and his sort of getting Tottenham. Have we lost that? We better team. This club last 3 or so you're safe.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's my internet or your internet, Jacko.
I'm having like a small kind of like, it says my bar isn't doing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Might be me.
I thought it was me. That's why I logged out and logged back in. I thought it was me.
No, I think it is me. But we'll keep going. I'm not sure what's going on, but if you can hear me, I think that's the best thing we can do. Dermot here saying first half even, but for a pen being given and Dyer being a complete dumpty, would have gone 1-1 second half. If we took our chances, would have won the game. But VAR has to go. Too many mistakes being made by a ref with no face who takes no responsibility. One word, corrupt. Come on, you Spurs. What's more corrupt, though, Dave? Like the on-the-field referee not giving a single one of those, or the VAR referee not calling back a single one?
I think, look, referees are with the VAR safety net, they're afraid to make the big calls. I think it's worse, the fact that they have time to, because referees, they see it in real time, right? They don't really get replays unless they go to the monitor, but the VAR assistant referee does. So for me, I think that's worse. I think that's more corrupt, if I'm being brutally honest. But Dermot, you should have just put your comment in from the chat into the Twitter reacts. I'm absolutely in stitches over it, my man. Big yourself up.
Much better for the Twitter sphere, I would say, that one that you put in the live chat, Dermot.
Big up Foggy Foam.
Good to see you, Foggy Foam. And Dan Coy is absolute legend, Dan. Good to see you, Tom,
Big
as well.
Danny boy.
Tyler in the house. Our back line is just so pathetic. Dyer, awful as usual. Gave another free goal away. No words for him anymore. Davies and Longley with theirs as well. But for positive, Basuma and Bentancur were fantastic. Even Kane too. Oh my God, did we Kulu? He is our most important player now. He just sort of saw it like the moment he came onto the pitch, Tyler, just what he's just able to do with the ball at his feet. He doesn't really need to be asked to make magic. He just really creates chances out of nothing. He can cut inside and just whip in a gorgeous cross to pretty much pick out a variety. He can also play nice somebody possession, composure. Simply is just easily one of our best players, I think, in possession, and the whole team, probably next to Harry Kane, at least in my eyes. And he's just it's just a shame we've been without him for so long. I think Basuma, probably his best performance in a long time. Maybe if not probably the whole season so far, just his maybe most complete performance, because I think he's had games where he was good defensively, Tyler, but he wasn't really offering very much with the ball actually at his feet, where I thought this game actually he was a lot more like the Basuma that we had seen before with Brighton. With the ball at his feet. So it's just maybe taking time, and he's just getting used to things. Davies, Longley. I think Davies, we all know, needs to go as well, but he, I guess not yet, has made the absolutely atrocious errors that Dyer has. But unless I'm wrong, Dave, I think that's where Davies maybe gets away with it. Not gets away with it. I think that's harsh to say, but I think you know what I'm trying to, we know he's poor. We know he's poor. We know he needs upgrading, but he doesn't make the Moonhead mistakes in the same manner that I think Moonhead does.
I agree. I don't think he does, but for me, I do find he gets switched off an awful lot. I find
maybe more subtle mistakes.
Small to be a left side of centre back, and the worst thing I find about him is just nowhere near good on the ball. Anytime the ball comes out on the left, it comes back inside. And for me, I can't forgive a player playing scared at this level. This game is all about taking a risk or taking about risks. No risks, no rewards. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want safe players. I want real players, the risk-taking players, the ones that get you off your seat, excited, stuff like that. Although I do think I agree with Tyler. I would actually go as far as saying it's Basuma's best appearance in a Spurs jersey today. Yeah. I would say I thought it was absolutely
it's what we needed to see.
Magnificent on the football. It was the tight control in tight spaces, beating a couple of players. I thought it was absolutely fantastic yesterday. And if that Basuma's here to stay, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's what we needed to see, certainly, especially when, in a game like that, when it was crying out for maybe people to just sort of keep their cool and kind of, stay at the levels despite what, other people were doing. So it's a great point that you make, Tyler. He goes on to say here, lastly, a lot of positives to take away from our overall performance. We should play Perisic in the attack more, in my opinion, but we will continue to improve, especially after the January transfer window. And Conte and Paratici, we trust. Come on, you Spurs. Devastated with the drop points. Absolutely love this, Tyler. What I would say about Perisic is I think I was guilty of, as I like to maybe do and, admit my own guilt of, takes maybe I've had. I have definitely brought up the conversation in the past, Tyler, of Perisic being sort of unimpressive so far, know that he can be better, just sort of bringing up that conversation of has Perisic maybe been a bit underwhelming and could he do a lot better? I must be honest, when I really look back at the assists that he has given us this season and how poor Sessegnon was in that most recent game, you just have to play Perisic. I'm actually now starting to reach with Sessegnon is playing so poor in comparison that I feel like I don't really care if Perisic ends up maybe getting beaten once or twice, defensively. He just offers so much more going forward. And I think that's what we need. And I think wherever Perisic, you can plug him in on the pitch, is where we should put him in, Tyler. Maybe that might be left wing if Sonny is out or needs a rest or is still injured. Maybe that means left wing back, just shoot him in, there more and, just try to make it work. Because I genuinely am thinking now with his most recent performances and everything, they're just miles better than Sessegnon's. And I'm starting to feel like I'd just rather have Perisic at all costs than Sessegnon.
Well, the answer was there, Jack, before we bought in Perisic. We wouldn't have to bring in Perisic if Sessegnon was so good. The fact that he's not and we had to bring in Perisic at his age just tells us everything we need to know. And for me, we've got to stop persisting with players that have had their time at the club. They've let us down. This guy's walked in. He's had a few months. Everyone's saying he hasn't hit the heights, but yeah, he's done more in them few months than what Sessegnon's ever contributed in a Tottenham jersey. For me, it's just clear. Just keep going with the players. The new players that are coming in that want to be here, go with them and just forget the old guard. Good riddance. Good luck. I've no attachment to most of them because they've been shit.
Yeah, absolutely, Davo. Dark Sun G with some super chats here. He says, please, Trossard hat-trick and Welbeck header to beat the Gooners. Are they playing each other in the cup, Dave? Wow, that's a good game, actually. That's if anything, that's actually some pretty, that'll be some interesting football, some interesting tactics, I would say, between those two guys.
Yeah.
Certainly between De Zerbi and the Lego Man. Trossard, Dark Sun G. I don't know if I ever really slagged him at any time, but I definitely never thought he would ever reach sort of the levels that he's been doing recently. But I feel like it's not even recent form that he's on. I feel like he's been playing this well since like the last half season. Like, even towards the end of last season, I feel like he was playing this well and was one of Brighton's better players. So I think he's been great. Welbeck, if he got a header against the Gooners and just out-muscled one of those guys, that'd just be brilliant. So never even knew Dark Sun G that's happening. I mean, I must say, again, kind of like the Champions League, some of these cup fixtures are better than our own cup fixture.
Yeah.
Dark Sun G says, I hope Darren England doesn't VAR for us ever again. I feel like I'm asking the same question, Dark Sun G. I feel like both need to go, Darren England as well as the referee, but which one was more biased? The referee on the field that never gave a single call towards Spurs or any bout or any doubt or any benefit towards Spurs? Or is it the VAR that never decided to step in? I'm sort of leaning towards the on-field referee being more corrupt, just simply because it is his on-field decision that he has to make. VAR does have to intervene and kind of overrule him and say you made an atrocious mistake. We all know there's a referees union where they don't like to do that. They don't like to step on each other's egos or toes or anything and stuff. I think that came from the Mike Dean era. But I don't know, Dark Sun G. I feel like the on-field referee is the guy that's even more biased. But VAR, of course, also has to go, my man. Big up, brother.
Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate support, my man.
Steve D. I've calmed down. We played with so much more intent in the second half. It shows the team are capable when we are progressive. Also, in Conte's defense, it shows we're clearly being coached on the training ground to deploy that kind of football. I just don't want to wait until it's too late. Big up, Steve D. Big up, my brother. And I'm pretty sure this is you on Twitter. Let me know if it is. Yeah, okay. I'm making sure it is. I really like this comment, Dave, from Steve D. And like I've kind of said before with Steve, I think he's often raised points that I kind of have trouble, to sort of answer. But I just felt like last night, Steve, with maybe what Conte had to sort of play with, he had no Sonny. He couldn't really start Kulusevski because it looked like really that's all he could give us was 30 minutes. And Moon Boots is really lacking form. Sanchez is just already out the door because he's already burned him too many times. I just feel like Conte is playing with an absolute just nothing of a squad, and just is playing with players that basically can show up on the day, and he just hopes that they can not make those sort of errors. I think until Conte just gets two new center backs and at least a competent wing back on either side, I just feel like, then we can really start digging into him if we want to. But at this moment in time, I just find it hard to really lay all the blame on Conte. While I'll concede, though, to you, Steve D, it's not like Conte is exempt from criticism or anything. He's never exempt from criticism. But I just feel like he has a lot of hands tied behind his back. If he had more than one hand, if he had more than two hands, I think they're all tied behind his back, basically, Steve D. All his limbs are tied behind his back.
Do you know what? I like Steve D, Jack. He's a bit like Leighton Everton. We kind of disagree on everything. But we still sit here and have the banter with each other, which I really like. Yeah, look, I still haven't changed my opinion, Steve D, on Conte, if I'm being brutally honest, and I'm not going to until we see centre-backs and that come in. Look, yes, beneath it all, beneath the disappointment of the loss and everything else, it was a decent performance. I think Tottenham showed up this time. We just didn't get the result went in our favour. And look, what I will say, Steve, after January, if we bring in a couple of defenders and I still keep seeing the same shit, then maybe we might have a bit more in common, but we'll wait and see. Big up, Steve D. Good to see you, man. I love this guy because we can banter. Even though we see things differently, we can banter, and that's what it's all about.
He gets my blood flowing. I'll tell you that, Steve. He gets my brain juices going. He gets my brain juices going, Steve. You challenge me, my man, and that's what we need around here. We need people to challenge, our convictions, brother. Big up, Steve D. You absolute legend. I appreciate you taking the time as well to respond to David's Twitter as well. Mark New is in the house, Dave, and he said we always love Mark News as well. Love Mark New. He says red and a pen when it comes to, I think, Trent's push on Cess. Red and a pen for the kick on Lucas's face. VAR checks the badge, not the tackle, hit the post and the crossbar 4 times. Should have battered Liverpool. Kulu is back. Add Romero, Richie, and Sonny. Add January window. Malinowski, Dumfries, Bastoni. Conte is cooking. In Conte, we trust. I absolutely love Mark, Dave. So take this one, my man. I mean, what do you have to say to him?
Look, yeah, Session, I was a penalty as soon as I seen it. I called it straight away. SSM as Cancelo's the day before. Lucas's kick in the face. I do think we need to be a bit more savvy, go around the ground, rolling around, trying to ask for a bit more. Yeah, do you know what? I haven't spoken enough about Kulu. I think it's great to have him back. I think now that he is back, if we can get some back after the World Cup as well, I think you're going to see a much more improved Tottenham. I'm excited for the back end of the season. It's where we proved to be at our best last season. Hopefully we can do the same this season. And I think Kulu back is absolutely huge. You see with Eric Dyer, it takes 1 minute to give away the game, but with Kulu, it also takes 1 minute to get you back in the game. I was glad to see us actually do something down the right-hand side. It's been quite some time since I've seen it. And look, hopefully Kulu can push on from this January transfer window. I'll be honest, I'm not sure Malinowski is the answer to what we need. I think Højbjerg and Bentancur are good enough going forward. I don't think we need to bring in another Cam or another centre midfielder when we're strong enough.
I think he's more a right winger / Cam. I think he's like more a forward than like if anything. I think he's more.
If we play him up in the forward line, it's fine. But I just get a feeling we're bringing this guy in to be one of the bodies in the midfield.
Interesting.
And I just don't think we need it, to be honest with you. I think the money needs to be spent urgently elsewhere. Probably another right wing back, probably centre backs. But if Malinowski comes up at a cheap price, I think the club will take it.
I agree with that. Definitely. Big up Mark New. Absolute legend. Mia W right here saying basically Conte is hog-tied. And Conte, we trust. Yeah, he has his mouth, he can't even move. He can't even speak. He can't even breathe, basically, Mia. That's what it feels like. What some of the things he has to choose from. I also said, as well, Mia, like it was torture to see that Sonny got injured in that Marseille game, because it did make me think about the Liverpool fixture. Like Kulusevski, like he's not really back from injury fully yet. Sonny having, him out for that is basically the secret weapon and sort of beating Spurs. Having Sonny and Kane is basically good enough to beat Spurs or good enough to beat Liverpool. Sorry, good enough to beat Liverpool. And I think they almost single-handedly kind of almost beat Liverpool themselves, Sonny and Kane before. Having Kulusevski is certainly extra added power, absolutely, but just was torture to see that Conte couldn't have his full attack yet again. And he had to like sort of pick some sort of experiment to go with like up top. It's just a real shame, because in order to beat Liverpool, you need to score goals usually, because they are usually going to threaten your net and you also need to threaten theirs. And he was, again, hogtied, like you said. Conte we trust. Big up, Mia.
Big up me. I love that. I'm going to use that from now on, the hogtied.
Much better than my analogies. I've tried to pick every, limb in the anatomy book here, Mia, and that's much better. I'll just do that instead.
I would have said like ball gagged or something like that, so she's more on point.
Badrul Mazid, big up, my man. Even if we had three more long lays for Dyer, Davies, and Sanchez, I think we would not concede such sloppy errors. Longley is so calm, technical, and aware of the game, wins, draws in those games, and we could have achieved much more. Badrul, I feel like I have to, come over and just give you a hug, because I absolutely agree with you in every single thing you're saying here. Mostly because I brought this analogy as well, where it's like Longley is not by any means like a spectacular defender or like one of the best defenders, I think, in the Premier League or anything at this moment in time. But I think he's been so much better than Davies and Dyer. I think he's been better than Dyer in Dyer's position. He's been better than Davies in Davies's position. So it just sort of shows, like, if Longley, a guy who's lacking form, lacking confidence before he came to Spurs, coming to Spurs to basically repair his career, repair his sort of confidence as a football player, and he's basically displacing Dyer and Davies with what, Dave? I mean, less than 3 or 4 months. He's like displacing them that quickly. Yeah. I think that sort of says a lot about Dyer and Davies, Badrul Mazid. Take that further, then you sort of then find yourself thinking, like, if you just had 3 Longleys, would we be a much better team? And that's basically saying, like, 3 basically pretty average center backs. Like, if we have 3 pretty average center backs, would we be doing a lot better? that's how much I think we would be doing a lot better. And that just speaks to the problems that we have at the back. Big up Badrul Mazid, absolute legend. Joseph here. I love seeing Joseph. He says, as per below, half our squad is below average. But yeah, as some fans are doing, let's pin it all on the manager, number 15 in 21 years. Well, he wasn't bad at all yesterday.
He's spot on.
But same defensive errors cost us. I will I will judge Conte seriously when he has a defense he can trust. I mean, Dave, I think you probably want to give Joseph a hug after seeing this.
Yeah, look, Joseph, he's a man after my own heart. Do you know what I mean, Joseph? It's like we're twins, Jack. We're twinning, because he thinks more like me. And look, I get what he's saying with 15 managers in 21 years, but I would go with maybe 4 or 5 managers under some of these players' tenure at this football club. And for me, it's just, look, they've got to go. I mean, what manager is going to walk in and get better out of that back line? You look at it. Look, Emerson up and down like a yo-yo. I think when he's on form, he's a decent player. But when he's not, he's catastrophic. Doherty, just crap. Been here for 2-3 years. Never done it. Tanganga, injury prone. No use to anybody. Davies, average. Sanchez, useless. Dyer, clown. Session, shit going forward. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of average Joes. I think it's harsh to have Skip, Sarr, and Gill in there because they're more for the future. They're youngsters coming through. Mora, again, another one, trampoline boots. You know, you're talking about 8-9 players there that when you put them out there, Jack, you don't know what you're going to get from them. It's a risk putting them out there. And that speaks to the squad. Look, I've done a breakdown of Conte's squad. He's got 9 that he wants. And funny enough, the signings he made are all in areas that we don't need to improve on this time round, Jack. Centre midfield, done. Left wing back, don't really need to make a signing there, to be honest with you. Get rid of Session and Dozi's coming in. Improve the back line on the left side, centre back. We've brought in. So, you know, I think what I will say is you've just got to give Conte time, make it his squad. You look at the most successful teams throughout history, it's because they have longevity in their manager and everything at that squad. Most of the players are all his signings. And I'm just fed up, Jack. I've gone past the point of even trying to reason with someone and just be like, yeah, maybe they'll do good as backup. I'm going back to my original beliefs. Don't want them here, get them gone. Not good enough. I tried. People asked me to give them a chance. I did. And it's only October and they fucked me off already.
I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Pick up, Joseph, you absolute legend. Philly's in the house. Good to see you, Phil. For the last 2 seasons, at least we have gone into the summer window and told that the club is concentrating on fixing the defense. And each time we are left with diabolical start. And the definition of insanity comes to mind. It's basically the area that we've just continued to ignore. We've continued to invest in the midfield. We've continued to invest in the attack. We've invested in fullbacks kind of continuously, regardless of whether you are, like any of the fullbacks that we have. We have actually invested a lot of money in the fullbacks and really just gotten it continuously wrong there. But when it comes to defense, we just haven't ever thrown money at it. Just simply has. It's just being ignored, and ignored, Philly. So you're absolutely right, my man. Ella's in the house. Big up, Ella. We were robbed of 2 penalties, and if those shots didn't hit the bar, that would have been 5-2. Dave, you were kind of speaking on this, maybe with the ones off the post and the ones off the woodwork. Unlucky.
Yeah, they're just unfortunate. Look, some people will say, you should be scoring, but at the end of the day, they're on target. I think if you hit the bar, you hit the post. It's just
different than
unfortunate.
sailing wide.
With you. Yeah, it's different than putting it wide and stuff like that. For me, I think, look, good efforts, just unlucky. On another day, Perisic would have came away with 2 goals. It is what it is. I'm not going to berate someone for hitting the post or the crossbar, Jack. I'm not going to do it. It's unlucky.
Were they really even sitters either? Probably not. Like, they weren't exactly
the header, I thought maybe if he was a bit brave.
Not Dele Alli bad.
No, it wasn't Dele Alli bad. I just think maybe if he was a bit braver, he could have got a better connection on it. I've been in that situation. You will always have one eye on that keeper's fist coming to your head. Always. Regardless. So maybe.
I know exactly what you're saying. Tony Rossi, most of the defense needs upgrading. Simple as, Tony. Well said. Probably just put that in your bio, actually, maybe as a Spurs fan. Thornton Spur, Dyer, Davies, Sass, Lloris are not top 4 quality. The big games, one of them costs us. Absolutely right. Upgrade these and the sky's the limit. So hope the Dumfries rumor is true. I will say on Dumfries is
Jack, let
that
me ask you, is he better than Emerson?
this is what's funny, Dave, is
Is he
that
up and down as Emerson? Is it going to solve a problem? Because right now we've got
I don't
two.
think so. I think he's not actually that good enough, really. I think if
Okay.
what the wingback we really want, I don't think is actually Denzel Dumfries. Because here's where I'm a bit concerned, Dave, is that I have seen Denzel Dumfries have really good games. In those games, I think were mostly with the Netherlands from what I saw. And it felt like with Inter Milan, he had a good season last season for the most part. But people that actually watch Denzel Dumfries week in, week out do not have good reviews of the guy. They don't like him. And that does concern me, that the majority of people who do see this guy a lot are not big fans of his. And there also are a lot of concerning underlying stats about his game as well. His pass percentage, Dave, is like a lot lower than Emerson's
Don't want
as
him.
well. Yeah, which is also a concern because you kind of think like Inter Milan are a bit more of a progressive side as well. So it's like pass completions is lower, even just his touches on the ball are a lot lower. He kind of, I think, is a much more athletic wingback than Emerson. Ultimately, I think he is better than Emerson, Dave. I think I would rather have Dumfries because I think he's a much better threat going forward. But I've heard there are a lot of things about him in possession that do make him a liability. And that's also when I even did a scout report way back in the day as well, Thornton, when I did a scout report for Flat Cap, majority of people were like, Jack, it's not Dumfries. He's not the guy. That's basically what
You
they were
know
saying.
what? If he's not as good in possession, which is half our problem, I don't want him.
It's just concerning when he has a mixed review. When it's mixed reviews, concerning. I think mixed reviews is concerning.
What we need is consistency in that position. We can't afford to have another guy where it's 1 week he's useless, the next week he's a 9. Can't afford to have it, so I don't want him.
Yeah. Big up, Thornton. 94. Simple. Ref failed to do his job. Failed to give an obvious penalty. I felt like, Dave, do you agree, though? Like, at least deserve one penalty on the evening?
100%. There's a penalty in there for us. If not 2. Referee didn't do his job, neither did VAR.
Yeah, absolutely right. Tim Ladd, we will finish top 4 and we will strengthen over the next few windows. So long term, I'm not worried at all. I feel for Dyer because he gives everything. And until recently, one of our best players, hence the England recall. Chin up, my friend. January is coming. Anything to say to this, Dave?
Yeah, I disagree with the Dyer thing. I liked him. Actually, he's a good lad. He's got a lot of good things to say. I would say I think Dyer found himself in the England call off the back of a couple of goals he scored for Tottenham, but also very fortunate because they literally are scraping the barrel for centre-backs. So I'm not going to judge Dyer on getting in the England squad because it's the worst period I've ever seen that England's had to pick from in that position.
Yeah.
Before they used to be stacked, Ledley King, Rio, Carragher, Terry, Ferdinand, the other Ferdinand, they were stacked with players in that position. Now it's lightweight, and I just think Dyer is the beneficiary of just having shit players ahead of him.
Yeah, I think that's really true. It's actually is quite concerning, I would say, for England that he is one of the better players.
You bet Wales and Iran and the USA, they want Southgate to pick Maguire and Dyer. They're dying for it. They're begging for it.
Yeah, they definitely are. SFL 26. I feel your frustration. In fairness, Dyer has been the stalwart in our defense this season. I don't know what Emerson Royale has on Conte, but my God, he is anywhere near. But my God, if he is anywhere near the team. Romero badly missed. Romero certainly badly missed. I think it's just Conte. If I were to sort of answer it neutrally for everyone, Conte has shit options at right wing back. Let's be honest. I just think Conte prefers Emerson Royale over anyone. He absolutely will probably admit that Emerson is streaky. Emerson has absolute bonehead moments and just nutcase moments. But I think he just prefers what Emerson does on the pitch than what Doherty does. He would play Doherty if he liked Doherty more. I just think it's not just, I'm going to put it in layman's terms. If he liked Doherty, he would play Doherty more. He also had 4 games or 5 games, I believe it was, where he did play Doherty and was given a chance to exclusively see only Doherty without being, having the option to throw on his favorite Emerson, and he still went back to Emerson. So it's just, even if the options you think are shit, he's gonna go with Emerson until Emerson and Doherty are shipped out. And also kind of a sad news flash for anybody who might not like Emerson. I think Doherty will probably sooner be tried to move out than maybe Emerson might be, unless they get a good deal for Emerson. Is how I sort of see it.
Doherty's age as well. No point in keeping him here.
It's a hard one to move on, though. P Dubs has brought up before. It's a tough one to try to move on. Liam,
contract, we don't owe him anything.
Yeah, it's true, actually. Maybe just go about it that way. Liam, always love seeing his comments. Dyer came through with the goods once again. First goal we conceded was sloppy too. Defense looked half asleep, but Dyer single-handedly lost us that game. But why can we never bury our chances against Liverpool every single time? Interesting there from Liam. Dave, do you kind of feel that way? Because I remember you were saying that yesterday. Like, lads, it's really not that complicated. It's just one guy who just had an absolute mare and essentially lost us the game. As sad as it is to put it that way, it's just how I think Liam feels and how some certain Spurs fans feel.
I mean, you can't blame Basuma. Yeah, it'd be crazy to blame Basuma, right? You can't turn around and go, Bentancur was the problem. Again, crazy. You can't go, Perisic was the problem. Again, you're crazy. You can't put what Moonhead done on everybody else. From the midfield up, we were fine yesterday. We were saucing yesterday. Better team on the front foot, especially that second half, created a lot of chances. But it comes back to what I've said all last season on the run into Champions League, all summer long, and all up until even after the window closed this season. It doesn't matter how well you play. It does not matter. One of these guys will do their utmost best to gift the gift to the opposition. Their teams enjoy coming up playing against us. They're going to keep doing what they do to Eric Dyer, running off them, putting pressure on them, because they know they're going to get the joys and the results out of it. For me, it's completely on him yesterday. He doesn't make that bonehead error. We obviously come out with a result, but I also think we probably get the win because, it's different trying to get a second goal to get back in the game and getting that goal and getting back in the game and then having time with momentum on your side to go and win the game. It's very, very different. So for me, I think if they didn't make that, we get into it 1-1, we go on to win that game yesterday. But like I keep saying, Jack, cannot keep relying on scoring 2-3 goals every single game to try and win a game. Can't keep doing it. And the only obvious answer is get rid of Klaus that keeps making mistakes. It's actually getting embarrassing now. Every week, the media, the fans have someone to pull out. And the level, the mistakes they're making, honestly, if I had an 8-year-old son and he was down there making them, I'd say, look, son, I don't think football's for you. Come on, we go and try rugby. You know what I mean? It's just like, call a spade a spade.
Yeah. Big up. And also Tom 81, just to add to this brilliant comment from Liam, says, let's not mess about anymore. Eric Dyer shit and absolutely hopeless. Royal Davies and Sessegnon just as bad. Need a whole new defense and end of story, lads. It just sort of shows like what Paratici has had to do here since coming in, Tom. I think we've spoke a lot about the players that he's had to bring in, but just think about all of the players he's already gotten rid of and how many more players he has to get rid of. It's like he's walked into just a room just covered in mud. It's just putting on his goggles, putting on a big, kind of hazmat suit, and it's just cleaning away, it feels like, most of the squad. And I actually feel bad for Paratici because he probably would rather be focusing more on transfers, but he blatantly has to also look at, getting rid of players too.
Yeah.
Take this one, Dave. It's a good car reference for yourself as well. A good car metaphor.
Charlie says, take the engine of a Bugatti Cayenne son and put it in the decade-old Vauxhall backline and keeper, and you have the car version of THFC. I mean, I don't know what end is better to have. I suppose you'd have to have the front end of a Bugatti because it's what you see first. And then, it's followed by the clown squad behind you. It's the ones that you kind of always keep behind you because you're slightly embarrassed of them. You're like, okay, unless we bump into someone, we'll introduce them. But until then, you just stay out of the picture. I absolutely love that reference. You've got the brand new, spanking new metallic paint, and then at the back, you've just got the rusty, old, dreary, scared,
Yeah.
finished looking sort of piece of car. It's
Jory's right,
absolutely
though.
spot
Yeah.
on. Absolutely spot on.
Jory's right because we often like to maybe protect, the the
Yeah.
dross part of the car or the dross part of the team. We often find ourselves, protecting, sort of making excuses for, and then we actually put all the burden and all the blame, lots of moments on Kane and Son, the Bugatti of the team, when we need to just realize, Jory, just get more Bugatti players into the team, and then you'll have just a better engine and just a whole better system and a whole better just car in general. And I feel like what we're doing right now is just feeling like we don't really need to get rid of some of the bad parts of the car. All we need to do is, just continue to rely on the good parts of it. We just need to realize we need to have a whole system. We need to have the whole 11 be maybe just as good or nearly as good to be able to play on Kane and Son's level. We just need players that can play on Kane and Son's level. Simply as, Jory.
Yeah, you got the Bugatti, you're in 2022, and you've got the Vauxhall back from 89. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like it just doesn't work. But you want to keep the back seats of the Vauxhall because it's the first time you got laid. You know what I mean? And it's down to sentimental reasons. Except for we're keeping these guys, and they've never really given me any of them exciting moments. So it's kind of pointless.
Yeah,
definitely. Big up, Jerry.
Absolute legend, Jory. And like I said, if you're available this week, my man, really, hopefully you can come on and have a good debate show discussion with us, my man. Brian Smith, I can see progress. Basuma and Bentancur plus Perisic, all good. Get one or two back. Spurs will be okay. I think we need at least two center backs and probably a right wing back because it does feel like Conte is maybe sort of scraping the barrel over there, especially since he is sort of stuck with what he had originally, which is Emerson and Doherty. He doesn't want to play Jed Spence. The green Monalishi. The defense isn't getting upgraded, mate. It's obviously needed serious investment in the last 3 years at least, but nothing has been done about it. So why expect change after 20 years? Every summer, we're apparently going to seriously back someone. We never do. Why employ a top manager whenever we make any progress towards into top four? We never use it as a platform to build. Club just seems to think the job is done. Can't count the amount of times we've been held back by the same players making silly mistake. Have to stop buying players who don't have mentality for big moments in games. I think that's it of the thread. Lots of really good comments there, Dave. What would you say about maybe the part I would say here is that he's absolutely right. There's a lot of evidence that, backs him here. If this were to continue to be true, though, then Conte is gone and Conte's out the door. And we're not going to then back him, and then Conte's not going to stick around. So basically the question you ask yourself is, do they maybe, go away from that pattern of 20 years and do they move away from it, or do they repeat the pattern? Because if they repeat that pattern, I would say the green, then I think Conte is absolutely gone. You can kiss him goodbye.
I think they're trying to learn from their mistakes, Jack. I don't think they would have brought Paratici and Conte in if they weren't trying to make their mistakes. I think they took a gamble bringing Conte in here, knowing it wasn't going to be on a long-term contract, with hope that they convinced him during the tenure. That's a gamble to take. I don't mind them taking that because I think everybody wanted Conte in here at the time. But what I do say is somewhere you've got to draw the line in the sand with the frustrations gone previously and the Conte and Paratici regime. And just realize when you've drawn that line in the sand, how many players we had to bring in here. And we're not, you could do it all at once, but then you're going to suffer what Nottingham Forest are suffering, where the manager doesn't know his best 11, doesn't know what 11 to get him results, what formation, what system, and you're in the middle of a Premier League season trying to sort it out. Not ideal. And they sacked the guy that made all them signings. And for me, I think we're building. I think we're going in the right direction. I think 9 players in here under Conte. I think they're better quality. You've got a solid foundation now of professionals that want to do the right thing. So any stars that do come in here, even if they are a bit loose, there's solid hardcore values they now have to abide by when they come here, whereas before there wasn't. And that's why you've seen Welsh Mafia, French Mafia, cricket, etc. And I do see us moving in the right direction, but it all hinges on us keeping Antonio Conte. If we don't keep Conte, we're just going in the same cycle as we always do. Getting a manager, go so far, and then the next cycle is coming in. And I'm sorry, but we got lucky with Conte because doing that was bringing us down one way. Conte's brought us back up here. If we don't stick with him, we're going straight back down there.
Straight back down. No way we can make some sort of sidestep and go upwards again. No way. Absolutely no way. Big up the green. Just Paul, Kane, Son, Kulu, and Bentancur, Basuma, Skip, Perisic, Romero, Richie, Udogi, for me, are the only players worthy of a top team. The need for a full defensive overhaul, creativity in the center and wings is 2 to 3 windows and minimum of £300 million. Are Levy and Conte up for it? Levy is always the question. That's why we'll continue to talk about it. And just Paul, never an easy answer. And it certainly is, the perfect emoji for that, I must say as well, what you picked there. I think Conte is certainly up for it. He's expressed that he's up for it. He's shown patience, and he's expressed that word, even patience. He's used it. But he also probably is maybe a bit frustrated with probably some of the things that might have been ignored maybe in the previous window. And if he doesn't see maybe some initiative done in this window, just Paul, then probably Levy is the one that isn't up for it. Robin's Nest here saying Kulu is back with him and Doherty on the right side. We looked a more balanced team. Watch us fly from January onwards. I really do hope so. But Dave, he's thinking with him and Doherty together is maybe a more balanced team.
If I see that,
I think we just need to accept that maybe neither. Maybe Everton or Doherty.
This is the thing, right? You've seen Doherty for a run of 3 games. He got praised for a game against Brighton that if Emerson put in that performance and not go over the halfway line like Doherty didn't, he would have been absolutely ridiculed. Then you go to Everton. Shit for 45 minutes. He had to be barked at half time to get across the halfway line. And then shit against Man United. You look at Emerson, shit against Bournemouth, brilliant against Marseille, and shit again yesterday. The truth is, it doesn't actually really matter who's down that side. It just matters who wants to perform on that day and if the right call is made on that day, which it's like picking the lottery numbers. But I still maintain Emerson looks more better with Kulu than what Doherty does, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the first game against Southampton probably showed that. James Galloway saying it really wasn't great. It really wasn't great. The errors. I mean, you could put a harsher than that if you want, James. Wider picture. We hit the bar like 3 times and had a lot of scoring opportunities, and the ref was shocking. We played better than we have done most of the season. New center back, new right wing back, attacking midfielder, everyone back fit, and we're laughing. Love it, James. Absolutely love it. But what I would say is, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like the errors just lost us the game. And I feel like you could have used maybe harsher words than, not great. Felt like a lot worse than, not great. It was absolutely, demoralizing if you ask me. But hopefully we bounce back from it. And hopefully, on top of those new center backs, we actually get rid of some of these center backs here, James. Big up, my man. D Spurs, I hate playing these or the Mancurians every time we gift them at least 1 goal. Are we cursed against those, northern teams, Dave?
Nah, just weak mentality, Jack. It's mentality. They're already going in there defeated because they're well aware of the record and how tough it's been there in the past.
K Vijay, fans need to back Conte and ask Levy to spend money. Some players are only surviving and are responsible for sacking of managers. Love that. And I would say put that in your bio there, Vijay. I would say the same thing. Maybe put that in the bio as a Spurs fan. Spursy Dave, love the name. And Eric cost us at the end of the day. We should have had all 3 points today. January, very important. A right wing back and a center back is a must. I think get the players back fit, and we could see in an exciting second half of the season. Keep the faith, my brother. From one Dave to another, what would you say?
No, look, do you know what, Spursy Dave? I'm excited about the second half of the season, if you want me to be brutally honest. I think you'll see us have a right crack at it. I think right now that everyone's sort of being a little bit reserved. I think as soon as that World Cup is out of the way, everyone's going to have a right crack. Hopefully we'll have all of our injuries back. I will be back to the 3-4-3. Son flying one side, Kulu the other with Kane up top. I think we'll see a lot more exciting football. Just stay in the cup against Nottingham Forest, beat Leeds at the weekend, go into the World Cup sitting there at 4, last 16 Champions League, Carabao Cup. I think many of fans would have snapped your hands off taking that going into the World Cup. So, my man, I'm excited, I like the fact that nobody's talking about us. And I also love being the underdog. So let's see how far we can take it.
Love it. Big up, Dave. Niels
Big up, Jimmy.
Van Ruyen. Great name. The team won. Too much of the recent second half performances smack of failing desperation and hope we get a lucky break. Today, that break did not come. If you were, I guess if we're not Spurs fans, relying on second half performances doesn't always mean you're the better team. Neil, so you probably have a good point there. If we're continuing to rely on being the better team in the second half, doesn't mean you were the better team all game. So there is something maybe to be said about that. But the bias will continue to flow through me, Niels. Wayne Libanati, great name. It's the same players that cost us points under Poch. They are top 8 players max. Have not got the concentration levels to compete against the better teams consistently. Dyer just keeps on playing in the same cycle. That is brilliant. Raises his game, gets to a certain level, and tails off massively. Absolutely agree with that, Wayne. It's what I mean. He has an expiration date every season. I have come to the realization that Dyer expires at the same time every season. It's like a biological clock of form. It's a biological clock of form. November, October hits, and he's like, do you know what, lads? Just can't do it anymore. I really just can't perform at the levels that I was. I'm just going to have to tail off here. Like you just said, I mean, the Dyer cycle is just continuing. And actually, funny enough, in the Dyer cycle, he probably will be dropped for a few games, maybe after this sort of break. And at least hopefully we just get rid of him. I don't want to see the cycle repeat again. Big up, my man. Absolutely spot on there, Wayne. Daryl Guthrie, to be honest, we should have had a pen before that. And yes, we need 2 center backs, 1 right. I love how many times we've seen that. Everybody's on the same page here. And a creative midfielder, but we also need to start games. And we finished the way we finished that one. Yeah.
Do you know what, Jacko? It just goes to show how far we've come. People used to say to me, the comments have changed completely. It used to be,
it's amazing.
Oh, Dave, you're being so meany-weeny on Sanchez Teeny. You know, they're like, oh, Dave, stop being so harsh on Dyer. You have to be so nice to him. You have to tell him you love him. Dave, leave Davies alone. Stop being a bully. Dave, leave Doherty alone. Just leave him alone. Stop being grumpy. Stop being mean. And now everybody's talking about them. So in fact, Jack, what I might do is take their tack and say, look, stop being mean and see how they like it when these guys are playing shit consistently. See how frustrated they get. But I'm glad to see how the comments are starting to change and they realize the problems.
Yeah, it is day and night, Dave. Day and night. It happens. Doesn't happen, gradually. Yeah. John Stokes here. As always, at fault. Lloris, Davies, Dyer, Sessegnon. Yeah, spot on there, John. Absolute woeful rubbish players. Until these clowns are gone, we won't progress anywhere with these Muppets, Dave. I'm sick and tired of these draw spools. John, we've been here before, John. We've been here before, my man. Usual suspects.
I love how blunt John is. There's no fluffing around with him. It's just straight to the point. Love it.
He's a legend.
He's a good man, John.
George Hill, this one is one of my favorites. Dyer needs to go. I'm absolutely sick of watching that idiot week in and week out. We need to stop letting these players go by because they're nice guys. He's absolutely shy and one of his many players and is one of the many players still on the books holding this club back from glory. Absolutely sick of it, Dave. I think he used sick 3 times there, Dave. So George Hill, I bet he's not really feeling great.
He's had enough. George, I hope you're okay, my man. If you're watching, put in the chat.
He had a bucket next to him during the game. It sounds like he had a bucket next to him. He's just.
I think he just echoes the thoughts of everybody now, Jack. Where it's like we've just had enough of watching just idiotic, brain dead, stupid, 8-year-old mistakes. You know what I mean? It's just everyone's just fed up of it, sick of it. It doesn't matter how well you play. It just happens. Like we were on top there when Dyer done that yesterday. You know, and it's just like. Look, get him gone. Get him gone. It's like, honestly, it's absolutely atrocious, Jack. It's such a letdown, right? I've said this many times, Jack. It's like tuning into MasterChef and you're expecting to see this unbelievable piece of steak being cooked, right? And then Gordon Ramsay is saying, you know what, guys? Forget that. Today we're going to do some watercoloring. I'm going to paint that scenery out there. It's just such a letdown and a disappointment. I think everybody's fed up with it now. It's just get them gone. Or just, you know what? Just don't play them. Just do not play them. It's like playing with 10 men. I think George represents how everyone's feeling today. Big up, George, my man.
I also love his profile pic as well, too. It's absolutely brilliant. If you can tell, Romero and Fornell's there, and you can see a very scared Fornell face.
Look how tall Romero looks.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Mark, Thank you, my man. Thank you, brother. And hopefully you've been enjoying it. I've been having a good time. I very much, was, taking my time in the beginning. Would like to have gotten maybe to these brilliant comments a bit sooner. Have to apologize to you all. I can be a bit slow at times in the beginning. Like to sort of take my time, maybe you could say. But big up, Mark, and really do appreciate you tuning in as always. And
Yeah,
it's
big
very
up,
kind
Mark.
of you.
What a legend.
Just quickly, everybody, I'm going to show you. If you're not really up for Twitter, if you don't like Twitter, not your thing, totally understandable. This is how you would do it. If you wanted to maybe leave a comment in the community section, it's the same thing. Basically, you get your opinions in and we read them aloud and have fun with them just the same. So you type in the Irish Hotspur in the YouTube search bar, go there. Just give me a moment. Click on that big bad boy of a profile. Just maybe let me zoom out a tiny bit there. You go to that community section there. See that community section if it pops up for you. Go over there. Then you'll probably see my comment in there. And usually what I leave on the bottom is Twitter React. So you would know that it's for the show. So that's how you do it, everybody. So there you go. If you want to leave your comments,
Jack, I'm just running to the toilet quickly.
No worries,
Dave. Energy's running through me. I'll be back in a sec.
No worries at all, Davo. No worries at all. We have Dan Coy's in the house. Good to see you, Dan. Can't believe how bad Dyer has become. When he was injured away at Palace last season, he was surely missed and commanded that back line. If we want to keep Conte, then in the next window, we need replacement center backs, at least backups, as he and other center backs have no real competition. That is starting to show. Sess has had another poor performance and needs a right wing back and we need a right wing back as confident as Decky is on the ball. Basuma, best performance today. Another great performance by Bentancur. He also goes on to say, just looking back at last season's disallowed goal by Kane at Chelsea away, when Kane was pushed by Thiago ever so slightly, what is the difference between that and yesterday's push against Session, which definitely looked like a harder push? Brilliant comment there, Dan. It feels like Spurs have just never really been given it. Like, I don't know. Whenever you see other teams just be given kind of that foul, even there was just the most recent evidence that we saw actually in the Man City game where they were given pretty much a red card and a penalty for a pretty similar foul. In fact, that Thiago on Kane one, if I'm recalling that one correctly, was definitely, I thought, a red card too, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm trying to remember that challenge as well, I thought it was actually very similar to the Cancelo Fulham one, and I thought they should have given that one, the Kane Thiago one, a red card. I remember they didn't. And then now you look at this one with Trent and they also didn't give it to us. And so it's historical. It's not even just this season. I would say sometimes it just really doesn't feel like, their inclination is always to give Spurs the benefit of their doubt. It feels like their inclination, Dan, is to actually take it away from Spurs, if anything, is how I feel about it, my man. But big up, brother. We also have Simon Gibbs here saying, our team was depleted, but it was our best chance to get a result against Liverpool, given their away form this season. We totally dominated them in the second half, and you do wonder what the result would have been if we had been that brave in the first half. Our second half was far more dominant than their first half. So yes, we were very lucky not to get something from the game. We have to treat that second half as if it were the first half and take that intensity into the first half, into the Forest and Leeds game. Sorry, everybody. Dave, anything to say to Simon here? It feels like everybody's frustrations, about this game, or that you can't really claim to be the winner. You can't really say that you deserved it if you only show up in the second half.
Here's the thing, Jack, right? I think the reason why you're seeing such disparity between the second half and the first half, Jacko, is in the first half, right, both teams are in the game. So it's a cagey affair. So you're not going to go out gung-ho and go at it, right, knowing the back line you have. But then because we're out of the game in the first half, we're going into the second half with nothing to lose. So that's why everyone can go gung-ho. But you can't do that for 90 minutes. You just can't. But if
how do you strike a balance then with that? Yeah.
But Jack, if we went in at halftime with doing the job we're supposed to do, which is keep it tight, play them on the counter, nick a couple of goals, the second half becomes easy. You sit in, you just knock the ball about. They then have to come and chase you. But if you're constantly conceding that first goal and then you're compounding it by conceding two, and you're going in at halftime 2-0 down, you're not going to continue to sit back and keep it tight. You're just going to say, look, balls to the wall, let's go. Yeah. And that's why you're seeing disparity. You've got to understand the tactics and the tactics going into games and how they can change during games. But if Tottenham, if you want to see a complete Tottenham over 90 minutes, that starts with the players performing in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way. I feel the same way, Dave. Big up, Simon. Liam 1, ignoring the usual slow start trend and the fact we didn't close down Salah of all people in the box, this result was on Dyer. What an amazing assist to Salah. Excellent ball control. In cushioned header. Really was, Liam. And the fact that we couldn't bury our chances when it counted. Same story every year against Liverpool. I don't care about not getting the penalty. How about Cess try and play the ball inside instead, or shoot it? Shoot it. I actually thought he could have shot it. He's gutless. Welcome back, Kulusevski, though. Such a massive miss for us, and he proved it within a few minutes. In the end, a bit unlucky to not drop, but we don't need. But we need to own our mistakes and just make things just take things by the scruff of the neck. Absolutely right. Problem is, often goes beyond more recognition and learning from past mistakes. Such mistakes are simply an inherent part of Dyer's football. It's an inherent part of his DNA. Liam, you're right. There is no cure. I think it is, and it's sort of where you've maybe felt, Dave, where it's like, while maybe people were trying to convince you, probably myself included at maybe one stage or another, saying, you know what, Conte's improved them a lot, Dave. Like maybe we're, writing them off, at the wrong time when Conte's repairing them. And you're like, listen, they're still going to be broken toys at the end of the day. They're still going to break down. And like, I think picking back off the other thing, which we probably never put in such beautiful words, these players have cycles. Dyer has a cycle, and he has proven it once again. And I think that's where a lot of people have, maybe myself included, have kind of come awakened to it. Like the Dyer cycle, Davies, of course, just still being here and being mostly average. And I think Liam is sort of alluding to that. There is no cure. The cycle will continue to repeat itself.
Yeah, look, a bad egg is a bad egg, Jack. It doesn't matter how long you leave it in the fridge. It's never going to turn right again. At the end of the day, for me, I said this about these guys. I deal in facts. I don't deal in sentimentality, which some people say is cold-hearted. Probably is, but I don't deal in sentimentality. I can't when these guys have let me down time and time again. And the thing is, they've had top managers. They've had what you would say maybe weaker managers in stature. And it doesn't matter who they have. They still turn in the same shit performances. It doesn't matter if you tuck them into bed at night or you make them sleep out in the cold. It really does not matter, Jack. They're going to keep producing the same shit. They'll give you some decent performances, but ultimately they'll always revert to type. And I just deal in the facts. The fact that some of them have been here 8-9 years, they're close to a testimonial, and they've never been good enough. They've always made their mistakes, and especially under someone like Conte, where it's physically and mentally demanding. And I knew this because I've done a lot of research, and I listened to a lot of people, a lot of players that played under Conte, people that know the game that have come out and said this. And I always just said, no, look, I know what's going to happen. If they can't do it when it's not being physically and mentally demanding, they sure ain't going to keep it up when it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, Liam. You absolute legend. Love both of your comments, my man, in the Twitter sphere as well as the community.
He's legendary, I like him.
Yeah, he always puts in good ones, puts a lot of thought into them, I think, as well. And is a good writer. Gamer16, agree, considering we were playing Liverpool and gifted the second goal. The performance wasn't too bad. There are players, though, that seem unable to play two good games in a row, like Emerson, Sessegnon, or Davies. Those are good examples. Dyer is struggling to put any good performance in recently. The midfield played well, especially Basuma, but this is drastic change between first and second half is becoming baffling. Gamer16, I think really good point that I would probably draw out of that is that Emerson, as much as I am, maybe a defender of his in comparison to the likes of Doherty, I will admit that his biggest flaw certainly is he can have, a decent half, have a good performance. He'll just meet it up with the next one with an absolute howler. He just will. And that is sort of, a consistent sort of kind of part of the DNA. And I think a lot of these players actually is that they will have a good performance here and there. And it can be such a good performance that it kind of does blind us. And even myself get a bit sentimental. Sessegnon included, actually. He's had performances, I think, that it maybe sort of kind of blinded us maybe in some way to what his real abilities are. Emerson included, I would say. Davies included. Plenty you could put in that list. Derek Smith, the slow first half is a recurring thing. It's something Conte has to address. I'm sure he's working on it. I thought Spurs were the better team over the whole game. A mistake from Dyer wasn't great and just proves a defender has more to lose when mistakes happen. Interesting way to put that, Derek. I actually like that. Nigel A. Smith, can't believe I'm saying it, but Doherty over Emerson if Conte still refuses to play Jed, as that is always an automatic handicap, whilst the usual self-destruct players remain to halt our overall progress. I can't use my season ticket again until Emerson is out. Come on, you Spurs. They're probably sick of listening to me here, Dave. So what would you...
That's drastic measures. That I refuse to use my season ticket.
I think there are a lot worse players. I think there are a lot worse players that recently were at this club, Nigel.
I admire the dedication to his beliefs, though, Jack. I absolutely admire that dedication to his beliefs. That's brilliant. Look, I can understand the frustration with Emerson, but unfortunately, I still maintain he's the best right wing back we've got at the club, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. Just with what Derek Smith said, Jack, we just go up there again.
Sorry. Especially for Derek Smith.
Look, it's always been the way that defenders' errors get highlighted more. But you know that they knew that when they wanted to play that position growing up, so then just be better. Just don't let it happen. If you don't want to be made a clown of and you don't want the errors to be highlighted, don't make them as often as you do. Like the problem is, right, we're not sitting here looking at these players and going, do you know what, I'll give them a pass on that today because it's so out of character. It's in their DNA. It's in their nature. It's in their character. And this is the problem. We're not sitting here going, it's out of character. Now, you see Derek saying in the chat, well, why aren't we talking about the chances the forwards missed? Simply because we can't keep expecting your forwards to go and score 2 and 3 goals in 45 minutes of football to bail out your backline every single game. Now, I highlighted something over the summer where I said, well, hang on, everyone's talking about a can. We failed to score in a lot less games than what we'd, instead of keeping clean sheets. And the same pattern's happening again this season. I think we failed to score in 3 games, but we've barely kept any clean sheets, and it just highlights the need to improve that backline.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, Nigel. Big up, Derek. Squoze and Frozen. I saw a post on Twitter earlier in the season from one of the Spurs/troll meme accounts saying Emerson has a secret video of Conte's hair transplant that he threatens to make public if he's not starting right wing back. Maybe it's true. You're going to have to come up with some theories. Definitely Frozen. I think even someone said Emerson is in Dyer and Emerson are in some sort of Conte sex tape, which I thought was hilarious. William Coker saying, someone please tell me that Davies was doing for the first goal. He left a huge gap chasing Firmino across to the right center back position. Why on earth? It's weird seeing some opinions. The first half wasn't as good as the second, which is frustrating, but it wasn't bad at all and nowhere near as crap as we saw on Wednesday or versus Bournemouth. I completely just spot on, William. Or Newcastle or Sporting at home. And that's what it feels like. Yeah, exactly. It just feels like maybe it wasn't the greatest first half in the world. By no means was it the greatest first half anybody's ever seen of Spurs. But I would put that first half performance well above almost 8 other performances I could name this season in the first half, William. And that's where I completely agree with you. And that's where some of the criticism, I think, does need to be. I think it's fine with the criticism being consistent because some of the problems we have are consistent problems. And so I understand that the criticism is going to be consistent, but we can't then throw that same criticism on a first half that was nowhere near as poor, like worlds different than the ones that you're speaking of. And I completely agree with him. I was sort of making the same point as well. He also went on to say Emerson must go. Dyer should be second choice. Davies should be second choice at best. Seth second choice. Hugo is getting on. I'll leave it at that, as I have respect for his service. Mora needs his homeland. Doherty can't seem to play 2 games well in a row, which allows Emerson. That's, wow, spot on theory, which allows Emerson back in. And I hate him for that. Here's hoping.
He sounds like he's tortured.
Oh, he's tortured by so many things, Dave. Anything you want to pick out here? I don't know. Just William, I read it aloud. I guess I gave some of my analysis there earlier. Maybe on this one, Dave, we haven't spoke about Davies.
Yeah, that's a simple solution, Jack. I mean, it's one of the oldest things in the book. It's not even hard to do, to be honest with you. All you got to do is scream. Tell them the oldest thing. One of the earliest things I was told: if a man's running off you, rather than being dragged out of a position, just call the next guy and pass him on. Did Dyer do that yesterday? No. Did Davies do that yesterday? No. Did Eric Dyer do it against Callum Wilson against Newcastle when he said, you know what I'll do? I'll just run off him completely. He didn't pass it on to anyone. But yet people tell me there's leaders in the back line. There is clearly no leader in that back line because there's no communication. Yeah. And even if Dyer was a leader, he could have been sat in the middle and said, no, Davies, I got it. Stay. So there's no leader there whatsoever.
Big up. Great comments, I must say, Mr. William. Mark, Dyer has to be replaced in January. Use him as a bench player. He has cost us so many points already this season. If Conte doesn't feel the love, and after the comments last night, he walks, then we are screwed. Absolutely spot on, Mark, because we go so far backwards. We don't make a sidestep from losing Conte and then go up again. Like, it's not foreseeable. It really isn't. And it also sort of goes back to what we were speaking about. I think what the Green was saying, Mark, is that worst case scenario, Spurs just kind of repeat then the same cycles that they've gone through, where then they just hire the next manager. He maybe, let's say, overachieves with the squad that he has and, the poor squad that he has available. Then we go through the same thing where that the next manager doesn't really get backed fully, doesn't really get shown the love by the fans once things start maybe going a bit poorly. Just go through the same cycle once again. But anything to say to Mark here, Davo?
No, big up, Mark. Look, I'll be honest, I don't even want to trust these guys as a bench player because you get injuries, you're going to have to rotate. They step in, they're going to cost you. I don't want it. Whatever anyone does good at this club, they counteract it with how many little or how many much minutes they get. It doesn't matter. They're going to fuck you over. Get them gone.
He also
I'm not
puts in the comments
anymore.
He also puts in the comments, Dyer cost us 4 goals already this season. It's hardly out of character. That's a bar there, Mark. An absolute bar. Sammy Spur, bored of watching the same incompetent players every game. I'm beyond the point of interest now in watching this Dross team player. They aren't worth the support, time, and emotion provided by our fans. I'm done for now with taking a vested interest in Tottenham Hotspur. Wow. Until I see anything that resembles a plan or ambition. 5 weeks ago, I made the conscious decision not to watch a Spurs game for the first time and supporting the club in some 33 years. I've missed a couple more since. There used to be a football club over there, Keith Birkinshaw. Wow, Sammy.
What I will say is look, don't let someone like Enoch and Levy ruin your support for the club. 33 years as a fan, you were a fan before they got here, and you'll be a fan after they get here, my man. By supporting the club, it doesn't necessarily mean you're supporting them either, my man. Do not let them and some of them other idiots that are not good enough to be here ruin your love and support for the club. I get it. You're frustrated. You're coming from an era where you've seen us pick up a European trophy, seen us pick up a couple of trophies every decade, to now where they're kind of very few and far in between. And I fully get the frustration. Just don't let them ruin let them ruin it for you, my man.
Yeah, so I'm sorry you feel this way, Sammy, and I can't tell you don't feel this way, but I feel like there are brighter days ahead, my man. Believe me, I think there have been some darker times, even in my short Spurs fandom. I think there have been some darker times that I've found myself at with this club, but believe me, it's not the greatest of times, and you just were probably grown sick of it, and you're probably grown sick of these cycles, Sammy. So I can definitely appreciate that and appreciate the honesty as well, my man. But yeah, I would say if you can, just don't really let it, completely, take away all of your love and all of your spirit that you have for this club, because that should never be taken away from you, Sammy. Should never be. Yeah. Ruth Singleton, can I say get rid of Dyer? Good game. I still love my Spurs. I think you can. Ruth, buried down. These individual mistakes are costly, not due to excellent play by opponents. Even worse in that game by poor refereeing. Dark Sun G, big up Dark Sun G. We need to beat Milan for 3 reasons. It's Conte's former rival team. It's the team that has Giroud, former Chelsea player. Very true.
And Arsenal player.
And Arsenal player. It has the former Liverpool player, Origi, who beat us for the title. Also laughing at PSG, Blues, Liverpool, and Man United draw result. Dark Sun G, loving it, my man. I must say, the first one is probably, I think Conte goes into this one going back to, Italy, probably wanting to make a right statement, come back. And yeah, like you said, I think he's never managed AC Milan ever either. So it is probably a team that he doesn't, let's say, maybe have the best of feelings towards. You never know. And so he would probably like to really set up his best way and probably have his best players available. Another great thing, Dark Sun G, is I am thankful that the Champions League is so much further on, because right now, it'd be nice to, right now, Conte doesn't have a lot to choose from to come up against them. So I would feel bad for him to go up against AC Milan right in this moment in time. But way down the road, come February, I think it is going to be an interesting one. I think if he does have more of a full squad available to him, I could see him putting up a good fight, pick up Dark Sun G. And for my predictions, I sadly think PSG might actually pull through against Bayern. Just because I think Bayern always they're just leaky. They're just so leaky at the back, and it's the Champions League. You'll get burned for it. Chelsea, I feel like Dortmund might actually win that one. I actually do think Dortmund might win that one. They have experience in that sort of levels, and I'm not sure if Graham Potter has that sort of experience. Liverpool, Real Madrid, and then sadly, I think, Real Madrid, are winning that one. And then sadly, I think Man United are probably going to actually beat Barcelona. Mostly because
do you know what? I hope United stay in that. I really do, actually, Jack. The longer some of these teams go in them European competitions below us, the worse their league form will get.
How glorious would it be to see Barcelona get knocked out as well, like in the first rounds? Figure out the league as well. I just think even further glory, Dark Sun G. Big up, my man. Steven saying here, I thought the first half was fine. Just very bad errors killed us. Yeah, absolutely right. But there it is. That's it, everybody. Yeah, got through it. Apologies again for my sort of, baffling on in the beginning, really was a bit of a blabbermouth, but we got through it. And I think a lot of really funny takes and really enjoyable ones. I had a good time, Dave. I had a really good time.
It eases us into the stream, Jacko. Don't ever apologize for it.
Yeah, but I had a good time, Dave, and I appreciate everybody that, tuned in, everybody that, kind of tagged along with us. And I appreciate everybody that put in their comments in the community section, put in their comments on the Twitter as well. And I do enjoy doing these shows, whether joined by Dave or solo. I think it's just nice to get your guys' thoughts. You guys make me laugh. You guys make me think about it maybe differently. You guys also make me, it's just nice to get different opinions. And also lots of times I actually feel like it cheers me up weirdly. So big up.
I really enjoy the Twitter reacts, Jack, because look, game day, we've given our thoughts pre-match, halftime, post-match, sometimes on the fan show as well. And the reason why I like doing the fan shows and especially Twitter reacts is because rather than it's us keep constantly giving our opinions, everyone else gets their say and we can get their opinions in. And I absolutely love it because one thing I want to keep doing is trying to bring as many people along the journey with us and have a say. I want them to always feel like I know they always have a say about Tottenham here at the Irish Hotspur, and long may it continue. So I really enjoy these. So, guys, thank you very much for getting your comments in on the Twitter and or in the community section of the channel, and long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, everybody. Thank you, Peter M. Thank you so many others, everybody. Thank you, Dark Sun G. Thank you as well, John Stokes. People, Phil's in the house. So many people that I've seen, so many good faces. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, Jory, for tuning in. Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate you, Mark. Really liked your engagement. Everybody, really appreciate you all tuning in to the Twitter Reacts. Hit that like button if you haven't already on your way out. We'll see you later for the fan show.
Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs, and in Conte we trust.
Everywhere we go.